England have an attacking line-out on the Georgian 10-metre line 37 minutes into the first round of their Autumn Nations Cup campaign. After some slightly sloppy off-the-top ball, England looked to play a strike move that you might label in one of two ways. You could either see it as being a one-out narrow unders and overs, or an innovation of the play off 12. However, whichever way you decide to label it, the mentality and thought process is still the same, and it is equally as effective no matter the label. But this is a clear demonstration of how an effective unders and overs shape is at the core of most attacking patterns. You can see that the playoff 12 is effectively just an elaborate miss one/one out unders and overs play. After the pass from Youngs at 9, Farrell stands and gives an early ball to Slade, who has now become the decision maker and distributor of our narrow unders and overs shape or our playoff 12, whichever way you decide to see it, both effectively meaning the same thing. He accelerates, taking the ball to the line, clearly targeting the opposition Georgian defensive 12, as the inside centre should look to do following key one of the playoff 12. If Slade were to target the defensive 10, then numerous things could go wrong. If England were to continue running the narrow shape, with Lawrence instead attacking the defensive 12, this would then free up the lane for the Georgian 13 to move forward and sack Joseph, the blindside wing, on the unders line. If you can recall from a little while back, we've already seen this exact turn of events occur when Exeter ran a similar move against Wasps, with Fekitoa putting a big shot on the blindside unders running Exeter winger. As also explained in that video, because the team had already played a one out, they have killed a number and thus there is no additional player to run the secondary unders, inside or shoulder ball line for the blindside winger on the first unders line to play onto if the defensive 13 was to shoot out of the line looking for the sack, therefore causing the blindside winger to get absolutely violated behind the advantage line because the defence would have matched numbers. Or, if England were to continue with Slade attacking the defensive 10, but instead ran a traditional, effective unders and overs shape, although it would reduce the possibility of having the negative repercussions of the narrow shape, i.e. the blindside winger getting sacked behind the gain line, because the defensive 13 would not have a channel free to move forward and sack the unders line because the overs line would be square, targeting him, it would still be easier to contain than running it in the way that England actually do here, with Slade targeting the defensive 12. Because being a slightly more lateral move, Georgia could slide and look to get the defensive 12 across to still make a side-on passive tackle on Lawrence on the gain line. So quickly in rank order, in last place, as you can imagine, we have the ineffective narrow unders and overs, with Slade attacking the defensive 10 and no additional third layer of attack outside the unders running winger as a get-out. Then we have the traditional unders and overs shape, but still with Slade attacking the defensive 10, which is more effective and runs less risk of the unders getting sacked, but is still not as effective as the playoff 12 method, with Slade attacking the defensive 12 as England actually do in this move. To swiftly carry on then, after Slade receives an early ball from Farrell and attacks the Georgian inside centre, sitting him down and fixing him, Lawrence then runs an effective narrow overs line, attacking the adjacent Georgian defender slightly to the outside centre's inside shoulder, and being a Tuolangi-esque carrying 13, this ties the Georgian defender, creating the space for Joseph to win the race outside of him, executing the 2-on-1 with the open side winger to make the line break.
Joseph so comfortable in that centre position, and here he goes setting up Elliot Daly, and England are in again.
We get a better understanding of the threat of Ollie Lawrence from this front-on view. Although running slightly more into the space than I would like personally, I'd prefer him to stay a little bit squarer on his opposite man, Nonetheless, the Georgian outside centre does not trust that his inside centre partner would be able to get across in time and thus bites in, creating the space for Joseph. If Lawrence was to stay marginally squarer, and we're talking about a couple of inches of detail here, then this would completely eradicate the risk of the defensive 12 being able to get across after covering Slade and cover Lawrence as well, allowing the defensive 13 to go and sack Joseph on the pullout. But because of Lawrence's carrying prowess, the defensive 13 doesn't trust that his inside man will be able to make this tackle and thus bites in himself. Commentators always call rugby a game of fine margins, and if this were perhaps a better drilled defence, the slight adjustment of that line could make all of the difference.
National rugby.
Lovely example there of utilising your best players in the positions you want them. Lawrence runs the decoy line. Joseph jumps out from behind him, goes to the outside, ball in two hands, little double pump to get him through the hole. Slade to the line, watch this, there you go, just creates the space so he can get the fend out, straightens the fullback. 2 men to spare, lovely stuff.